Hello, you are watching Meet the Authors. I am Narissa Golden, the festival coordinator, and we are here today with Sharon Douglin of Barbados. Hello, Sharon. Welcome to Meet the Authors.
Hello, and thank you for having me.
All right. You have written an amazing new book called Made for More. What is the subtitle for that book? And let's just jump into how this book came about.
Right. The subtitle for that is Overcoming Self-Doubt and the Cycle of Abuse. And this book came about because I am passionate to see women set free from a life of abuse. Being a person that was abused from a very young age, I know the long-lasting effects that it can have. So I was very deliberate and very candid in sharing my story. And that's how the book came about.
Brilliant. Now, this abuse, was it family members? Tell us, how old were you when this happened, and what was the process you used to free yourself from this?
Okay. My earliest memory of the abuse happened when I was 9 years old, and it happened with a leader in the church, and that was sexual abuse. And then as I got older, I would be beaten unmercifully by my mother when I escaped that abuse to go and live with her, thinking now that I would be free. But now I encountered verbal abuse and physical abuse, that I was beaten to the point that blood would come from my skin. So that is my experience, and I recognize that there are so many women dealing with this as well, but they are silent about it. And I've recognized also that on the topic of abuse, there's not a lot of support because people are afraid to connect with it, in case that people may feel that they probably experienced it themselves. But I decided that somebody has to be a voice. Somebody has to speak out on this topic.
Powerful. It's interesting that often when you hear of people that are being abused, it almost seems to be a cycle, in that it's almost like abuse attracts abuse. So it goes from one, and because you're already vulnerable, it's almost like it brings more. Have you found that to be the case with a lot of the women you've been able to speak with, that they have almost more than one situation in their life where abuse seems to be the common denominator?
Yes, please. More so. And it brings me to the point where I recognize, and I heard Don McClurkin say it when he was here, his uncle abused him. And then he found that men would just be looking at him this kind of way and whatever. And I found that when I had that encounter with sexual abuse, I found that men were gravitating towards me as well. It's almost like it sends out a signal. So I found that women will say the same thing. If it was sexual abuse, it would be the uncle, the brother, the neighbor. It would just be a continuous cycle. And therefore they found themselves attracting these kind of men that would just use them and abuse them.
Yeah, because it's actually a spirit. It's like that person has introduced a spirit, and then that spirit has an energy that, like you said, continues almost to send out this signal that says this person is open to that. And you talk about having to break it. How could someone go about breaking this hold that this abuse has on them? Are there things that we can do ourselves?
I personally believe that until you are tired of where you're at, that's the only time that you will make a move. And I've seen it happen. You could tell an alcoholic it's time to go and get help. You can carry a cow to the river, but you can't make him drink. I believe that person has to get tired. I got tired. I got tired of the cycle. I got tired of attracting unavailable men. I got tired of the low self-esteem. I got tired of feeling that I was a nobody. And therefore, I made the move. And I believe only until a person is tired of their situation and they know that my life has to have more than this this cycle of continuously meeting the same people, being abused, and feeling like you're nobody. I had to break that, and I had to understand that God created me, and He says, yes, I am worthy. Yes, you are accepted in the beloved. And that caused me to go on a journey to seek healing, go and speak to a therapist, do my journaling, listen to other women that have gone through it. And more than that, I recognize that if I am in a group with women, that topic of abuse always comes up, whether it's childhood abuse, whether it's something that they're experiencing in a relationship or whatever it always comes up. But there's also this hush and this embarrassment when they speak about it. So I decided, no, it is time that we get tired and set ourselves free. So I wrote very candidly about my experience in Made for More, overcoming self-doubt and the cycle of abuse.
Brilliant. That's so powerful. I think I saw a stat, it's probably changed by now, but it said that 1 in 5 people around you, 1 in 5 women would have, experienced some level of abuse. That number is probably smaller now. But so that means more than likely, if you're in a room full of women, there will be more than one person in that room who could relate to your story. What gave you the courage to journey on this path to recognize that not only could I get out of this, but I actually could use this as a weapon now to help other women also become free? What was that moment for you that triggered that realization?
I think the more I sat in rooms, the more I sat with my girls and friends, and I heard them talking about it, and I see the pain that they're still feeling, even if it was in childhood or not, that pain is still there. And for me, I know that the weight of the secret was just too much on my shoulders, because abusers always leave you, to me, they leave you with the weight to carry on. They do what they do, and you got to know, go and seek help. You got to keep your mouth shut, depending on who it is, because they always say nobody's going to believe you. And you know what? I have proven that they are correct, because most of the times these people are high-standing people in society that does this nonsense. I call it a bastard, that does this act. So they're presenting one way to society, but behind closed doors, there are somebody different. So you go and say, Mr. X did this to me. But no, he's such a nice man. That could never be so. So we are left with that whole weight and the whole thing of protecting them. And I said, no, it is time for me to be free. It is time for other women to be free. And I'll tell you, it is not, speaking about abuse, is not something that you get a lot of support from. People don't like to even like comments or like a post or even comment on it, because they think that somebody may feel, oh, you experienced that or whatever. But I am determined to continue to speak my truths, because you know what? Women come to me in secret and they say, Sharon, I read your book and your book made me cry. Your book caused me to understand that I need to go and get help because it's affecting me as a woman, and it is showing up in my relationship, because you get those triggers. You are triggered from the abuse. And if you don't work through it, to me, it has you stagnant. So that's what I'm about.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And it's very true, because we have been socialized, especially as the Caribbean people, to just keep personal things personal. You don't tell nobody on the street your business. So yes, even liking a post on social media is in a way saying, ooh, Somebody might think it's me that I went through that, and we don't do that. And
Yes.
I think especially for authors who write very personally, it can be a little, you're really stretching yourself a bit going out there. And especially if you were looking for the validation of somebody sharing your post and then they don't, you're
Yes.
thinking, what does that
Yes.
mean? They don't like my book? But no, it's really and truly, it's because it's actually connected with them on a personal level. And so it
Yes.
does take a lot of courage to write it, share it, and then to persist to tell your story. So talk to me a bit about being made for more. How would a woman speak to us as a encourage me as a woman, telling me how I'm made for more?
Okay, especially if you are a person that have encountered abuse, like I just said, there are these thoughts in your head and what people would have said to you, because some of us would have encountered verbal abuse, especially from our parents. You will never be any good. You will never to amount to anything. No man will ever want you. And there are times that we even tell ourselves that. So for me, I would encourage any woman to start with the renewing of your mind. You got to empty out those things that you were told, all those negative things before. And it is important that you speak to somebody, because we don't always have the answers. I remember when I was in therapy, and if you are dealing with a trained therapist, you are the one that finds the answers for yourself. They don't find the answers for you. So I will encourage a woman, listen, if you can't get it figured out, talk to somebody, but make sure this person is trained, because most of the time when you go and speak to people, they give you their advice. That's not what you want. You want to find who you are as an individual and blossom in that. Knowing, and don't compare your path with anybody else. I think that is what has a lot of us women stuck. You are made for so much more, and your path is unique. So just be comfortable with you, love you, do the things that you are passionate about. You know, just be sure about your own path. Put aside those things. I shouldn't say put aside, but heal. Start your healing journey. When you start your healing journey, so many things are going to come to you, and you're going to recognize, oh, I am loved. I am appreciated. I am welcome. I'm accepted, because so many times you deal with this rejection and you hide yourself away because you think nobody's going to want you. So when you start that beautiful journey, it's going to be painful. Nothing in life comes easy, but then you recognize, okay, there's so much more to me than what people told me.
That's powerful. So do you find that things like journaling can help a woman maybe recognize her own voice? Because often you will hear things in your head and you have to ask yourself, was that me, or is that, somebody else? Because a lot of times we think it's me, but it's really those negative voices that have been bombarding us for years. So do you think journaling, or are there other methods that we could use to maybe get familiar with our own voice and be able to recognize ourselves in the middle of all of this?
Definitely. Journaling has been one of my go-tos for years. But when I started journaling, I thought it had to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just write. You just put it out there. It's like a brain dump. You put it out there. For me, going for a walk by the beach and just being in that silence and in nature and clearing my head. Those are things that women can do also. Or being in groups where you can, be strengthened by other women instead of shying away, because abuse tends to make us hide. It's almost like it puts us behind a veil.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. And we're hiding in plain sight, because we get up every day, we go to work, we pretend to be good wives or good moms, but inside we're actually in a lot of pain, hiding in plain sight. So that's beautiful. Thank you so much, Sharon, for that. How can we get more from you, whether just for the book, or do you do workshops and other things? How could we connect with you and your work?
Okay, I can be found on Facebook under Sharon P. Douglin. I'm also over on TikTok.
Nice.
And my book is on Amazon, Kindle Virgin, and the paperback. Very soon, I'll be doing some workshops and maybe some courses very, very soon. Very soon. So you can look out to hear more from me. But in the meantime, you can follow me on those platforms and see what I'm up to.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Sharon, for being a part of Meet the Authors at Alliouagana Festival of the Word. We are proud of you that you penned this, because this is not ever an easy journey to talk about yourself, and a very painful part of your journey. But I know that it's going to be helping a lot of women. And so we say congratulations to you for making this big step.
Thank you.
There is more Meet the Authors to come, and more Alliouagana Festival of the Word. Don't go anywhere.